In today's Before You Ride, we will be taking a look at the bikepacking route, the Capital Trail, a relatively short bikepacking route right out of the capital of Scotland. I have just got back from riding the route, so in this video we will be going over everything you need to know, including what bike is best, the wild camping. We will also be given a route difficulty rating, 1 being easy and 10 being hard, and also my overall rating. Again, 10 being is the best thing since sliced bread, and 1, don't even bother. So let's quickly jump into this before you ride the Capital Trail. The Capital Trail is a bikepacking route starting and finishing in the capital of Scotland, Edinburgh. The route is around 150 miles long. It's mostly all off-road, consisting of double track, single track, grassy fields and even some mountain bike single track trails. Although this route is mostly off-road and away from traffic, as this route is around the more busier areas of Scotland, you will occasionally have to ride on some roads with cars. This route has around 17,000 feet of elevation gain, so make sure you have your climbing legs at the ready. But with all that climbing does mean that you will be in for a treat, because this route has lots of beautiful views to soak in, some really fun descents. It's a good route for feeling like you are a million miles away from everything, when in reality you are just a stone's throw away from the next town or village. There was a few gates that were unfortunately locked, so you will need to be able to lift your bike, and as the route consists of lots of different trails, a GPS unit for mapping will be the best, as it's not signposted apart from this one random sign. I think this route is a great route for someone who has a decent level of bike handling skills already, but maybe has never been on a bikepacking trip. Good for a couple nights out on the trails. Maybe you want to see if you like it. A route that is a great starting point for testing out what Scotland has to offer for a bikepacking adventure. This route has a good mixture of different trails, from double track to single track to hiker bike, sheep trails. This route will certainly test you at times, but reward you as well. It's definitely not an out and out beginner route, as some of the trails can be on the technical side, whether that's dealing with the narrow single track or the boggy sections, or just the steep terrain. If you are looking for a rewarding challenge that isn't too long, good for a 2 to 4 day trip that is remote enough to give you them I'm in the middle of nature feels, but close enough to the built up world where you can grab your supplies each day, then this is going to be a good route for you. A different side to Scotland, a more farmland than rugged mountains. You are way more likely to meet people along the trails along this route than you are when you might head up into the highlands. So if you want a short but hilly, fun but with some challenges, remote but not so remote that you need to be fully self-sufficient for days on end, then this is probably a good route to take on, especially if you are finding out if the world of bikepacking is for you. The route will be most fun on a mountain bike, whether that's a rigid mountain bike or a hardtail with suspension. The reason the mountain bike will be the more fun option is because this route has a fair amount of single track, even some around the mountain bike trails outside of Peebles. Having the mountain bike position is going to mean you can enjoy them descents a little more and have a bit more control over the technical terrain. However, if you are wanting to take this on a gravel bike, it is entirely possible. You will be wanting 45mm tyres or bigger and be pretty confident already, as some of the descents can be rough and steep. One thing is for sure, whichever bike you choose, you will need mountain bike gearing to get up them climbs. Also, make sure you are able to lift whichever bike you are using, as there was a few gates and stiles that I had to lift my bike over. Being in Scotland, the wild camping along this route is fairly straightforward, as it's actually allowed, as long as you leave no trace. The route has a mixture of open landscape and some wooded areas that you can camp in, more so on the open areas, so a small tent or a bivvy is your best bet. Finding places along this route is quite easy, but bear in mind it is Scotland, the weather can change quite quick. It can be windy, it can be wet, and it can be cold. So make sure you are prepared for the night ahead. Food and water along this route is quite easy to manage, as the route is never too far away from a town or village. For managing food, as long as you can carry about a day's worth of what you think you will need at most, then you will be fine, as there are plenty of shops or pubs that you will come across along the route. In terms of water, again, you can easily stock up as you come through towns and villages. However, I'd recommend carrying a filter, as there are plenty of streams to collect water along this route. Getting to the start of this route is fairly simple, using the trains, as it starts in Edinburgh, so it is well connected. Like most trains in the UK, you will very much most likely need to book your bike on the train before you travel. You can actually do this on Trainline nowadays. You will just need to collect a physical ticket at the station before travelling. Bear in mind, these spaces can fill quite fast, especially in the summer, so make sure you book this in advance. Getting from the train station to the start of the route is pretty easy and can be mostly done using bike lanes. You can check out the route in the video description, where I started at the train station. Difficulty of the route does change as you make your way through the miles. It starts off reasonably simple and mostly all rideable, but it does get steeper and harder and a bit more technical as you proceed through the route. Overall, I would probably give it a 5 out of 10 for difficulty. Depending on your level of experience, you might find it a lot easier or a lot harder. The route is not overly long, and you are always relatively close to the built-up world if you need to bail, which makes it slightly easier. However, some of the terrain can be tiring and hard to get through at times, and being Scotland, the weather can make things all that harder. This route does have a bit of a rubbish hiker bike, and I'd probably say it's not all that worth it. Luckily, it is quite easily to avoid by staying on the cycle route towards Peebles. Also, the way this route goes in a clockwise direction is definitely the correct way to go, leaving you with some awesome descents to finish your adventure. My overall rating for the Capital Trail is going to be a 6.5 out of 10. It's a fun route with lots of fun trails with lots of nice views. If you like flowing single track, I think you will enjoy this route. It is a nice way to discover some of the lesser ridden trails around Scotland, a different type of beauty and scenery than the Highlands. It was an overall fun adventure, even if I did have to battle through the Scottish weather to make it to the finish line. The route is a fun way to get out and explore, have some nice remote wild camping, but without all the stress of being so far away from everything. In fact, sometimes routes tend to just avoid all the built up areas. This route, however, takes you through a few places, lets you enjoy the small built up areas along the way, allowing you to stop and enjoy the surrounding areas of the capital city. If you can get on this route when it's a little less windy, you will be sure to have a lot of fun.